Here's the C major scale in thirds. So I go up the major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C on the B string, and I add the third note after each note I'm playing from each degree. Meaning here's C, I leave out D, and I jump to E. So C and E, then D and F. So again I leave out the one after D and jump to the next one after that. So D and F, E and G, F and A, G and B, A and C, B and D, and C and E. That's the C major scale in thirds. Okay, now this E I have on the higher string, open string. So if I want to play them together, I play E, not on the same string, but on the string below. So that's on the E string, I always play the third now. Here's C, here's E, C major diet. Okay, here's D and F, D minor, E and G, E minor, F and A, F major, G and B, G major, A minor, B minor, C major. The C major scale harmonized in thirds. Note that when you play major, you have two adjacent frets, like here on C, on F, and on G, and on minor, I have one fret in between. Okay, that is the case on all the other strings except from the G and the B. If I play the G and the B string, that's a G major diet already. Yeah, because B is a third up from G. Okay, because the B string is tuned differently than the other string. The other strings are tuned in fourths. This one, the B string, is tuned a third up from G. Yeah, you might know this tuning your guitar on the 5th fret. Here's A on the 5th fret on the low E string. Here's the open A. Here's D on the 5th fret on the A string. Here's the open D. Here is G on the D string, 5th fret. Here's the open G. But 4th fret is your B on the G string, and here's the open B string. Here is E and E. Okay. So moving on, here's the G and B string together. That's G major diet. Here's an A minor diet, which is A and C. Yeah. And you see that's the two adjacent frets here for minor, whilst major in this case will be underneath in the same fret. Okay, so the major third is underneath the root note from each degree. Okay, so here's G and B, G major, A and C, A minor. Move that up 2 frets, we got B minor, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, back again, G, E minor, D minor, C, B, A, G, A minor, B minor, C. Okay, on the other strings, D and G, it's the same as on the high E and B string. So you got our lowest diet on the within the key of C major is on the D and G string, 2nd fret, D, and open G string, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D minor, E minor, back again, A and D string, here's a B, here's your open D string, 2nd fret A string and open D, B minor, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B minor, C major. Okay, let's go back on the low 2 strings, the last 2 strings. So you got F major, that's the 13th on the low E and the 12th on the A string. Moving down to E minor, D minor, C major, B minor, A minor, G major, F major. F major is 1st fret E and open A. Okay, so So those are all the diads rather, in the key of C major, all over the neck on 2 adjacent strings. Okay, let's play music with that. Here is the A minor diad on the D string, 7th and 5th position G. Yeah. So here's your A minor. Okay, let's play the open string as a root note, A. Yeah, so root note A, and go through these diads while playing the open A string in between and see what they sound like over this root note. And then you can make a decision of which ones of these you want to combine with each other and create a little composition. So I can just mess about with that. Let's just say I'll take this open string and these diads here, and let's just say I move it up 1 position, back again, move it down 1 position. I can go like at the beginning. Okay, so I'm just playing the A string with my thumb and D string, index finger and middle finger, the G string, and back again. Obviously interpret this in your own way, yeah, so you don't have to copy what I'm doing. Let's put in a chord change. Let's say here's the open D string and here's my D minor diad. Move that up into the next position, so that's an E minor, back again, 1 lower, and I can go back to A, and so on. Okay. I can add another string, let's say open B string, you can also, here's a cool lick, use an open string as a pedal and hammer on the root note. Like for instance, here's B, and you hammer on C, your open B string, C on the 13th fret, hammer on with your middle finger, and play the 3rd up from that on the high E string. Yeah, so you got this C major diad here. And you do the same thing on the B minor, the A minor, or wherever you like. And just experiment with that.